Today we're going to work on a Shark Euro Pro. Don't they make vacuums and infomercials? Welcome, I'm Wes, the sewing machine repair guy, and today we have a Shark Intlelli-Sew Euro Pro. I've never heard of one of these. So the problem with this one, it says needle threader and bobbin. That's what they said. Needle threader and bobbin. So we're going to take a look at those. I guess we'll learn a little bit together about this machine during the teardown. Behind the Shark Intlelli-Sew Euro Pro model stands Euro Pro, a company founded in 1994 by Mark Rosenweig in Montreal, Canada, with roots in importing innovative European appliances like lightweight vacuums and sewing machines. Starting small with family help, EuroPro exploded in popularity through clever infomercials, relocating to Newton, Massachusetts, and hitting milestones like acquiring related businesses in 2003. By 2015, it rebranded to Shark Ninja, merging its Shark cleaning line with Ninja Kitchen Gadgets, and grew into a public powerhouse with over $1.6 billion in annual revenue, dominating U.S. vacuum sales. The Shark Intlelli-Sew itself, like this model 9110, is a computerized marvel with over 103 stitch functions, including quilting and decorative options, plus 12 one-step buttonholes for effortless sewing. It features adjustable foot pressure, needle up-down control, and an auto threader, making it a reliable workhorse for beginners and pros alike. Users rave about its durability after years of heavy use. This machine embodies EuroPro's ethos of blending affordability with advanced tech, continuing the sewing machine's legacy of empowering creativity worldwide. Alright, we just got the machine apart. I'm getting ready to go blow it out with some air, and then we're going to oil it, and then we're going to do some cleaning here and there and get it all put back together, and then do some testing and see what needs adjusted. So whenever people are having bobbin issues, I want to check their bobbin case and check for any signs of issues. So remember that every stitch, the upper thread comes down and it goes around this entire bobbin case. And the way it does that is the hook grabs the thread and pulls it around. And if you have any sharp, where it feels kind of sharp on a corner, or if you have any areas where the needle like this got rotated and the needle hit it, we call that a needle strike. Anytime you have any of those issues, you need to replace your bobbin case. Sometimes you can get away with just kind of smoothing it out with a fingernail, but it's always a good idea to get a new bobbin case if you can. You can smooth that with your fingernail to get it sewing today, and then for it to keep sewing in the next few weeks, you might want to get a new bobbin case. So I'm feeling this little nub right here is a little, just barely rough. We're gonna see if we can shine that up a little bit on our plastic here, because this is not, it's not really bad. I can just feel a little bit of roughness there, so that's something. I may not replace this. I may just see how it works. If it is catching the thread there, then we'll definitely replace it. You can see this has been repaired before. Somebody use some Gorilla Glue on that. So they must have ran that in pretty tight with a screw gun or something and broke it. But hey, it works just fine. Looks great from the outside. Sometimes these covers are easier to clean when they're off the machine, even though it's the top cover. Because if this sits open for a long period of time, it just collects dust in there, and it's really hard to clean all the nooks and crannies when it's on the machine. So I like to go through some of this. This is like a first cleaning. I'll do a good finish pass once it's all put back together, and of course use our secret sauce. We'll talk more about that later. There's definitely a coating of something on here, but it's I don't have the smell of the this doesn't have the cigarette aroma that you normally get on some of these machines, but there is kind of a film on there. Another thing you want to do when you have these machines apart is just take a look at the board, that main board, make sure all those capacitors look good, they're not bulging or anything like that. If they're bulging, they'll need to be replaced, because what happens is they start leaking, and that material that leaks out of there will eat up the board underneath. It'll actually destroy the circuit board, so you want to catch that as early as possible and replace those. The other issue with that is the capacitor is not doing its job, so then it sends bad voltage to the parts that need good voltage, and it could cause damage, or just the machine won't work until you fix the capacitors. But this machine, they look great. There's like a narrow time frame where really a lot of the capacitors that were used in electronics of the day, you're talking like, what is it, 90s, mid 90s, mid to late 90s, 2000s. A lot of machines from that era suffer from the capacitors going bad, and when they go bad, the machine just doesn't work. And then once all of the replacement boards have been used up out of inventory from the manufacturer, they don't make more, they just make new machines and sell you new machines. So that's where doing, that probably is making a lot of noise, that's where doing component repair can save a lot of machines that were not able to be saved before, and actually go in there and learn how to replace those capacitors or other components that are dead. So we'll talk a little bit behind the scenes sewing machine repair guy stuff here while I'm cleaning. Lately I've been working on making shorts, and so if you don't know, a short in YouTube is a short video. It's 3 minutes or less, and it's something that's going to be vertical format, so it's made to be watched on your phone. If you're watching me on your TV right now, which most of you are, you can watch shorts on your TV. It's just it looks weird because you got the big bars on the sides, big black bars, that because it's a vertical format, it's meant to be seen on your phone. But I'm trying it out. They say that that's the thing to do if you're a YouTuber, and so I figured I'd do some really short videos, more kind of the shocking things that I find in a sewing machine or things like that. I'm actually thinking of starting a series on shorts of just a real quick, how dirty is this machine, or is it dirty or not. We all love to find a whole bunch of dirt in these machines and clean it all out, and it's fun to see the transformation. So I'm just kind of looking into things like that you could do quickly and expose a lot of people to this world that they don't know exists. I personally watch a lot of channels where people are fixing things, whether it's electronics or fixing cars or whatever. I just like seeing the process that they go through when they're troubleshooting, and I learn from that. And even I can learn somebody repairing a 1980s computer, or somebody repairing a 60s car, a car engine, or even repairing a game console that was put out, brand new last year. I like watching those sort of things, and I learn a lot from them. So we're going to take a look at our rough timing here before we put the machine together and just see if the timing looks good or if it looks terrible. So what I do when I'm checking the rough timing is I'm lowering the needle all the way down. So I'm lowering the needle all the way down, so down right there, and then I lift it up just a tiny bit, and it should intersect with that hook pretty soon after it starts coming back up. And so that's looking good. And all these measurements are different on the different machines. So the way I do this, because I don't get the service manual for every machine. The way I make sure that that's correct is when I sew with the machine, I use that zigzag, the widest zigzag possible and the shortest stitch length. And that shows me that you're in time for both the left side of that zigzag and the right side. And if you're in time on both of those, then your timing is good, your needle height is good, and it's feeding good because it's feeding a very short stitch length well while it's doing that. And that aha I just said is because I noticed the light bulb has been removed from this thing. It looks like it had an LED of some type, and it's gone. So I'm gonna assume, because I know another shop has been in this machine. There's a couple of clues. Here's how I know. I'll give you those clues. So first off, we noticed as we were taking things apart that the inside of this has been repaired because it was screwed on too tight, or it could be brittle plastic and it just kind of exploded when they put it together, or even took it apart, I guess. And then the other thing I noticed was the needle plate has already been sanded down. And so that's something that a professional shop will do. This is the one that they use a Dremel. A lot of people have told me that they use Dremels in their shops, and I don't see a problem with that. I just don't do it myself. So somebody's been in this machine, and I bet you that it is difficult to find parts for this thing. So if the light bulb went out and it's an LED, you probably can't find a replacement for that very easily. Okay, our needle threader is intact, so that's good. There's a little tiny hook. I wonder if I can show you. So there's a little hook in between those two little tines right there. Little tiny thing. That goes through the eye of the needle and has a little barb on it that grabs the thread when you pull the thread through these little forks right there. And so sometimes that little tiny grabber hook there gets broken because it gets caught on the eye of the needle, and when you pull this back it breaks off. But in this case we're looking good. It just has to be precisely adjusted, otherwise it misses that needle. Alright, we got our machine back together. Let's see how it does. We already threaded a needle, which is awesome. It did it really easily. First try. So now we're going to see how well it sews. Okay, once I figure out which button is the reverse button, we got it. How we looking there? That is looking pretty good. I'm actually really pleased with that on the tension side of the house. Let's try our zigzag. So this is where we're going to try max width, and then we'll go down to about a 1 on our length. We'll give that a try and see what we end up with here. So looking at that tension, this is not an embroidery machine, so that's a little bit tight on that bobbin tension there. So I'm going to loosen that up just a tad, and then we'll go from there. Alright, that's a lot better. That looks much better. And then any other fine adjusts we can make up here. Then, do we get a waffle stitch on this one? Alright, well this one's a different kind of pattern. Not too bad for a machine of this age. Now, I don't have the manual to go in and go into the programming to adjust that feed, so that is good enough for what we're going to get out of this machine. I'm going to call this machine good to go. We got the needle threaded with the needle threader. We got the bobbins working fine, bobbin winders working fine. And the last thing we got to do is use our secret weapon. Right there. 303 aerospace protectant, and that's what I use on these machines. You can find a link down below on Amazon. Use that link, and then you go and buy anything else on Amazon. It actually still helps the channel. You don't even have to buy that stuff. Thanks for watching.